My Trump supporting mother wanted to have a conversation about trans issues recently. And as a queer person, that could be really triggering. The right often makes trans people to be the source of all evil in the world, and that is not the case. So here's how we navigated the conversation healthily, and I hope we move towards each other just a little bit. Number one, when people come to you with a hot button issue, give them the floor. They often have a lot on their chest. Maybe they need to vent, and you need to release the pressure on the conversation. While you give them the floor, ask tons of follow-up questions. Things that I asked were, have you had trans family members, friends, colleagues? What's been your experience with trans people? What are your thoughts just generally about trans inclusion and protections? And in that part of the conversation, we actually found a ton of common ground. We started to zero in on an area where she found some stickiness, which was like, why do we have people transitioning before the age of 18? And I always try to pivot those kinds of conversations away from one, hypotheticals, and two, to get them more curious and to create space for it's okay if that doesn't make sense to you yet. It's okay if you're confused. These are big ideas and big issues. And that creates permission for us to explore it safely. And in that conversation, I took it out of the hypothetical by saying, when did you know that I was gay as your son? And she says, oh, like 6, 7, 8. And I go, okay, what are the steps that you took to make sure that I felt safe, that I was happy to explore who I was? And we had that whole conversation. I said, well, what if I had been trans? What if we had the same clarity that I was a trans child? And what if we had identified that I was getting unhappy, or if there were risks associated with not supporting some, major milestones early on in my transness? And that was a really interesting conversation. I don't think we definitely didn't get to a point where it was like, yes, you were right or I am wrong. But I think what we created space for was these are really big decisions that we don't have the answers to, that we don't need to necessarily be between a parent, their child, and their doctor in making those decisions. And I felt like that felt really healthy, and we associated it with us.